Oh, they're the Wolves. From postgame talk to primetime takeover, the Nuggets series heads to Mini for Game 3. Timberwolves hosting the Nuggets as the series is tied. But it was Jaden McDaniels who made some noise after Game 2.
Go out for Jokic, Jamal, all the bad defenders, Tim Hardaway, Cam Johnson, the whole team. Like, just go at it.
They're all bad defenders.
Yeah, they're all bad defenders.
And McDaniel backed it up here, Chiney.
Oh, he didn't just back it up. He backed it up in a big way, getting the steal and getting the flush. And then I love anyone that works hard on the offensive boards, snatching that with one hand and putting it back in. He was making a statement. He said it before the game, but he absolutely backed it up, as you said.
Listen, those guys hang around with Anthony Edwards. Jaden McDaniels is one of his best friends. Nas Reed, those guys, they all train together, and I think some of Ant's cockiness rubbing off on him in a good way.
And it rubbed off on Rudy, too, because you see him there on the Joker, a finish on the other end by Julius Randle.
Rudy's been possessed since he finished 4th in Defensive Player of the Year voting.
Yeah.
Took that personally.
Jokic was held to 7 of 26 shooting, 27%, and 7 of 21 with Gobert as the primary defender. Elite defense by the 4-time Defensive Player of the Year. Late in the 4th, Wolves running away with it. McDaniels on the drive. Slams it again.
Elevator.
This is one of the best dunks you will ever see. That live, baby. Look at these people going insane on that dunk.
Here's McDaniels after the game after they took a 2-1 lead.
Just playing Denver really motivates us. That's enough for real. Just playing against them, we don't really care what they say. Just the number and the name across their chest make us play like this.
They're the really good defensive team, you know, and we couldn't make shots. And then yeah, I think to be distributor to whatever, I need to be a little bit, not to be, but if I make a little bit of shots, then the defense is gonna react. So I think that's why I couldn't get anybody involved, because they didn't help with them. You know, it was just a one-on-one coverage. So I think I needed to do a little bit better job scoring, and then I think it's going to open up for everybody else.
Jokic finished Game 3, as I mentioned, shooting 7 of 26. That's the fewest made field goals in a game with at least 25 attempts in the Joker's NBA career, regular season or playoffs. Overall in the series, Jokic is shooting 31% when guarded by Rudy Gobert. So, Chiney, how worried should Denver be here?
On a scale of 1 to 10, I'm going to give it a solid 7.5, almost 8. They should be worried because the Timberwolves have stolen all momentum, and also it's almost like superpowers. Rudy Gobert is stealing the superpowers away from Nikola Jokic in some ways. We've seen him defend it at a high level. 13 for 40 is what he's held Nikola Jokic to shooting, in 4 of 19 from 3. We're looking at that 33%. Also, this is contagious because overall for the Nuggets, they shot their worst percentage last night, 34% as a squad. So when Jokic is being defended well, that affects everyone else's ability to get a shot. Now, I know that there's a big factor, no Aaron Gordon as well. That impacts what they're able to do offensively, but you have to give credit to Rudy Gobert. It is a tall task. It is not easy to guard Nikola Jokic, and he had to take a lot of shots to be productive and get to his normal numbers.
Speaking of Aaron Gordon, we all think of him as a great defender. He's great at finishing the ball, but he's a great ball handler too. And I think they're really missing him as an outlet, as a secondary ball handler, because Minnesota's able to put so much pressure on Jokic and Murray. Jokic looks worn down. Like he just, like, his shots are short. I was checking with people around. I go, is Jokic okay? Is he hurt? Like, because I've never seen him shoot like that. Jamal Murray looks like that physical pressure is wearing him down a little bit in this series. Why? Because that man in the red hat is not out there. Aaron Gordon is a phenomenal offensive player. They're plus 5.4 differential offensively with him, and the net rating is 12.7 better with him out there. I mean, that's not just missing Aaron Gordon's leadership, and
he's a big piece.
They're missing him everywhere.
Yeah.
A year ago on this Friday, after Denver had lost Game 3 in Los Angeles against the Clippers, got blown out, I said I was concerned about Denver. I'm really concerned about Denver right now after losing Game 3 to Minnesota for a couple of reasons. The Aaron Gordon injury, no Peyton Watson. They're thin on their wings. I talked to a scout yesterday morning as far as what are the keys for Minnesota against Denver. Make Jokic and Murray work defensively here, and don't be content on settling for shots. And that's something that Minnesota did effectively last night. And 7.5.
Where you at?
8.5.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Can I get a 9.5?
No. This is former champion, and I covered all those games last
I
year.
know, but I'm
They come back.
different now. I
They
feel
also
different.
got Jalen Pickett. Let's see if they put another ball here.
Hey, they're doing it again tomorrow night on ABC. We'll have Game 4 between Denver and Minnesota at 8:30 Eastern, 5:30 Pacific. Ernie, Kenny, Charles, Shaq, tip-off coverage at 8. They'll also be back at 11 Eastern, 8 Pacific to break down this game and other games on the schedule. All right, before we flip to tomorrow, we still have some big news on tonight as we continue to track the status of Victor Wembanyama. The Spurs star suffered a concussion in the second quarter of San Antonio's Game 2 loss. That leaves him questionable ahead of a pivotal Game 3 in Portland tonight. Michael C. Wright now joins us here. So listen, Michael, what's the latest on Victor?
Well, the latest is Victor is definitely progressing through the process. We saw him this morning at shoot-around, and let me tell you that the part of the process is a return to exertion process, okay? That starts out as stationary bike riding. It elevates to jogging, and then it goes to agility drills, and finally, the last part of that is non-contact team drills. Now, I can tell you that they kicked us up out of shoot-around way earlier than normal. They said, you ain't got to go home, but you got to get up out of here. And then one of the team spokesmen said, you could probably guess why. So it sounds to me like he might be going through that last part of the return to participation exertion process. And so even if he's cleared, though, I must note that the San Antonio Spurs typically err on the side of caution with all their players, especially like a guy like Victor Wembanyama, because they see him as a franchise cornerstone that's going to be around here for the next 15, 20 years.
Now, certainly they always are a team that moves with caution for sure, and particularly with him over his time there. But let's talk about the rest of the team. Let's just say, for example, he doesn't play. How do they potentially look at this matchup now? What changes for them? What does that team look like if he can't play?
Well, De'Aaron Fox said that, hey, we are a very good team with Victor Wembanyama, but we are preparing to play as if we don't have him. You know, Luke Cornett, he's the guy that will be filling in for Victor Wembanyama if he can't go tonight. And Luke Cornett said, hey, I'll just be getting a few more minutes. I'll be a little bit more tired than I'm used to being. But the San Antonio Spurs, they've done this before. They're 12-6 in games without Victor Wembanyama, and they played the Portland Trail Blazers 3 times this year, and Victor didn't play in any of those games, and they finished with a 2-1 record. Even if you go back to Game 2, look, the Spurs were up with 8.5 minutes left to go, and they gave up a 14-point lead. So the Spurs know they're plenty of capable of performing without Victor Wembanyama.
Michael, thank you so much, man. Appreciate it as always. All right, so Chiney, the Spurs had a good record this regular season without Wemby, but these are the playoffs. So what's different now? Who's got to step up?
Let's take a look at the Spurs world with and without Victor Wembanyama. San Antonio, there's some hope because you still win games. You see those 12 wins without Victor Wembanyama, you can still win a game against the Portland Trail Blazers. But most importantly, without Wemby, you will need someone to change the game. Enter De'Aaron Fox. He is someone who is a 2-time All-Star, an All-Star this year. He's second in scoring on the team. He's a former Clutch Player of the Year in 2023, and he also once led the NBA in steals. I have a need. The need is for speed. That is his specialty. 9 seasons in the NBA. And when he uses his speed to his advantage, it really creates for others. First, here's a pick and roll. He rejects it. Now, most players would just simply take the floater. The hands are down, but instead, he could also have an option to dump it over to the dunker spot or the opposite side for the post, or you can have a kick out. So his speed and his ability to read these pick and rolls allow multitudes of options. He's going to have to knock that down consistently. But again, I talk about how good he is north and south. When he sees an opportunity to get to the lane, he just turns on the jets. The defense will have to react here, and instead, now, defensively, you're in a scramble and you have to make tough decisions. Boom, he blows by everyone. Nice little dump off. And we talk about Cornett. That was a cool play. But Luke, how good has he been? I told you in 2023, the Clutch Player of the Year, where ever since he entered the NBA, he scored the 4th most points in the clutch time. That's a good company to keep. DeMar DeRozan, Nikola Jokic, LeBron James, and De'Aaron Fox.
Awesome stuff, Chiney. Now, on the other side of the coin here, we have a developing story out of Portland. Ramona, what can you tell us?
Well, yesterday at practice, Tiago Splitter was asked about that man, Damian Lillard, our 3-point shooting champ, and the Blazers put up the little googly eyes as we saw that. And Tiago Splitter was asked, is there any chance that he comes back? And Tiago said, probably not. In other words, that wasn't a no. I mean, probably not. But from what I understand, Dame is theoretically could play. He's ready to play. Nobody wants him to come back from this Achilles right now. He's trying to get ready for next season. But let's just say Portland keeps winning. Let's just say they have a chance at winning the series or winning in the second round, and this man is out here doing his things. Then I think that conversation gets a little more interesting. So probably not. I think Tiago Splitter chose those words carefully, and I think that's right on. But from what I understand, it's not a no.
That's crazy.
Interesting. We'll
That's
keep eyes.
huge.
We'll keep eyes on Dame time. We'll see that. But it's time for